If you are a service-based business that wants to double or even triple this year, then this is for you. I have helped over 250 six, seven, and even eight-figure businesses achieve double and even triple-digit growth over 7 years now. I've been doing this for quite some time, and think anything from brick and mortar service, mobile service, or online services, those are all forms of services, then that is for you. If people are your product, then this is the video for you. In this video, I'm going to help you identify what might be required for you to scale right now this year. So I also want to challenge you guys to be able to, after this video, sit down for 1 hour with silence, without your phone. And that is the thing that will probably lead you to be able to scale and fast this year. So this is Chris Lee, and Chris Lee and I went to a mastermind. Actually, specifically, it was Chris Lee's mastermind. I went to his mastermind. It was the same type of mastermind. This was a different one, but same type of mastermind, but different version. And so I ended up going to this mastermind and I ended up learning from him. I know this is possible because he made it possible and he ended up selling. And he told me this is how he had 3 years of growth. I think he owned the company for around 5-ish years. Don't quote me on that one. But there were 3 years towards the end of the business when he was scaling 300% year over year. That's triple. Very interesting as a service-based business. And so when he started year one, this is really year like 3 or year 2 for him, because year 3 isn't when on this graph is when he ended up selling. It was around $35-ish million in annual revenue. 1 year later, he was doing $100 million in revenue. And 1 year after that, he was doing almost $300 million in revenue. He ended up selling for around $240 million. And he had quite a bit on the balance sheet. It was a company that owned assets. So all in all, it was a very, very substantial amount of growth, 300% growth for 3 years. So I know that it is possible. And being that is possible for him, it is also possible for you. So the questions that you have to ask yourself in your business, if you'd like to triple, is, by the way, I kind of saw this and I said, there's a cool name here, a 2x by 3x. It's kind of like, 75 hard challenge, but 2x by 3x is a very interesting challenge, especially as a service-based business, because it is possible. So I was talking with a founder recently upon this very same topic. He has the goal if he wants to double this year, and he has around 70 employees. And my first question to him is, what is stopping you from doubling right now? If you were to double, what would break? What would break? And he said his reply was he has more demand because if he just turned ads on, which he oftentimes has to turn ads off because he gets overwhelmed, is the amount of people that need to be trained up is not enough. And so in that niche, there's a very good reputation among this service provider. And because of that, he has a lot of people going to him. This is where word of mouth can either kill you or it can help you. And in his case, it helps him out quite a bit. So in order to go about scaling this company, you either have to go by design or by default. Your business is by design or by default. So for him, we had to design a business when we were working together in order to be able to scale. This means that he needs to train. And in order to train, there are ways to make infinitely scalable training materials. Real quick, if you want to scale, and this sounds at all interesting, you can actually send me a DM and we can grow together. So if you have a service-based business and you want to scale, shoot me a DM on Instagram, YouTube, and we'll get started. Look forward to seeing you there. So marketing and sales. So marketing, sales, and fulfillment. These are the 3 core parts of any business. Now, how do you scale marketing infinitely? Well, paid ads is very scalable if you have the right marketing agency provider. So, and also I'll say this clearly. You can be demand constrained, you can be supply constrained. So demand constrained means you don't have enough people in your business or enough people wanting your services. And demand constrained, meaning you have so many people wanting your businesses that you can't market. So as an example, those are the first 2 categories that we asked. All right, are you demand constrained or are you supply constrained? Once we figured out which one he was, it was not a focus on marketing, it was a focus on fulfillment, which we'll get into in a second. But marketing in this case was not the constraint. But if it is in your case, it is the constraint, then online ads is very scalable. It's one to many. As an example of that, this video, I could have 1 billion people watch this video and it would not cost me anything extra. Now, is 1 billion people going to watch this video? Are 1 billion people going to watch this video? No, absolutely not. Only a few people will. Well, why is that? Well, I don't chase viral content. That's why. Each video has a purpose. And if a video is meant to be valuable, it is not necessarily something that will go viral. But if I posted me in a very sexy looking car with a nice watch, that video would get a lot of views. Why? Because people chase the outcomes, not necessarily what's required to get those outcomes. And so that's why people are more attracted to what you get from hard work, not necessarily what goes into the hard work. And this is an example of hard work. This is the hard work that goes into scaling a business. So if I want to make more ads, or if making more ads is stopping me from being able to get more clients and double or triple my business, that means how do I need to do this? If I'm filming 10 ads per week, I need to start figuring out how I could film 50 or even 100 ads every single week, which is possible, in order to be able to spend more on different platforms for marketing, if that is your constraint. And the way that you know your constraint is if you have no issues hiring talent, but you have issues getting more business, then you might be marketing constrained. You might have to focus all of your efforts on marketing. An example of this is I'm flying out with a founder next week who is needing to film a ton of ads. And so him and I have talked and said, all right, this is the constraint. We're going to focus on this. So we're putting everything in place to be able to double or triple his current marketing spend. We're thinking outside of the box. What are different ways to do that? Could we go get someone cameo? Could we go get someone famous? We were looking at Kevin from The Office to be able to film an ad because that's a relevant person. Could we do something obscure for our ad? Could we film in an interesting place or an interesting location? Could we find different ways or new ways to advertise? Could we advertise on different platforms? And I'll tell you, we didn't actually go on different platforms. Why did we not go on different platforms? Because he has a platform that's working right now, but it's not working well enough, and it could be working better. And so before we branch off onto a separate platform, we want to focus on getting this platform dialed in before we shift our focus to another platform. Why? Because each thing you do takes an extraordinary high amount of effort. So ads are infinitely scalable, but you have to put in enough effort for that. And I'll also give you one really gold piece here that I heard from a super secret branding guy. I'm not going to say who, but 30% of your entire marketing budget should be focused on branding. So this is a video content. So if you're spending $100,000 on paid ads every single month, you should be spending about $30,000 on actual branding video content itself. And that's just as of today. Of course, that can change depending on how much a video costs to make. All right, next part is sales. So sales is the next thing that's very scalable. And what I mean by that is I actually spent about 8 hours today, 8 hours in total, just on a script alone. So we have an entire sales script here that I'm working on. And this entire sales script is about almost about 100 pages long. It's a very, very long sales script, but it goes more into why, how to train up a sales team, because training a sales team is not just what's in the script. It's what do they do off the field? Not what do they do before the call? How do they prepare for the call? What is the tonality that they use on the script? And if I have 100 sales reps or 100 sales reps in total, and I improve their sales closing rate by 10%, let's just say it's 10%, and each one of those sales reps is producing about $1 million per year, then I have made a $10 million improvement to the business. But here's where it gets interesting. It's not $10 million in revenue. It's $10 million in profit. Why? Because oftentimes you don't necessarily have to change anything about marketing, or you don't have to spend anything more to improve the sales script. All you have to do is improve what you're already doing. And so that profit goes straight to the bottom line. Very, very lucrative if you can do it. Now, it does take us an extraordinarily long amount of time to improve a sales script, but it is technically infinitely scalable, because once you have a really good sales script and you train on that sales script, you can train as many sales reps as you want, because it's one script, infinite, depending on the type of conversion mechanism. Another example of an infinitely scalable conversion mechanism or sales mechanism is a webinar. You can have as many people as you want show up to a webinar. It's 1 or 2 hours in total. Let's just say on time. Now, of course, prep for the webinar can take weeks, sometimes even months, but let's just say it's a relatively modest webinar of 2 hours. You could do a 3-day webinar. That's possible as well, by the way. So you can do a 1 or 2 hour webinar, and you can have 100 people show up to that. You can have 100,000 people show up to it, and it doesn't cost you anything. So it's technically infinitely scalable. And so these are all things that you can figure out. How can I convert as many people as I want if this is the constraint that I'm focusing on? You're either focusing on marketing, sales, or fulfillment. The third, but absolutely not least, is fulfillment. And so how do I, especially if you're in a service-based business, double, triple, or even more than that, very difficult, but let's just say double or triple your business in fulfillment, you need to figure out how training is. So back to our founder originally, who has 70 employees, has very good reputation in his industry, he is training as many people as he can. And so what we're doing is we're building an entire training department around just one thing: training. So this department is their one job is to train up the entire rest of the company and make sure that they have very clear expectations of how to do their job, when their job is supposed to be due, what they're supposed to be doing in the roles. Each role inside of the org chart is very, very clearly laid out. And so this is where it can become infinitely scalable if your training is good enough. And there are ways to do one-to-many training. So you could have group trainings. You can say, I'm going to train 10 people and I'm going to work with them and help them improve on their service delivery. Or I'm going to hire cohorts. So let's say I hire 10 people at once and train them all up. Or I hire 50 people at once and train them all up. And then I can pair them with more advanced members of the team to train them up. I can also do group training. So I can say, hey, we're going to do a company-wide training. I can hop on a webinar. I can spend 1 hour of my time actually on the webinar, and I can have as many people show up to that webinar. That's an example of one to infinite number of training for fulfillment. And so these are all things that you can do for your training department to be able to create that double or triple effect that is definitely possible from many, many entrepreneurs, especially in the service industry. And this is it is possible. And once again, it goes by design or by default. And you can design your business in a way that makes it become scalable. But at first, it starts internally with your mindset of, do you think that it's possible? If you, the owner, the founder, does not think that it is possible, do you think that your employees are going to be the ones that think it's possible? Most likely not. So ask yourself this. If my business was to double overnight, what is the first thing that would break? If you can't answer that, then the problem may be that there is a problem preventing you from knowing the problem. And oftentimes, it takes you just sitting down for an hour without your phone, without it in front of a computer, and just think, how would I be able to double or triple my business? What would break first? And then focusing on fixing that one thing. And if you are the thing stopping your own business from being able to scale, you have an owner dependency problem. And there are ways around that. So you can hire a director of operations. You can start making different pods in your business to be able to scale. So there's all things that you can do to make your business be able to grow and double or even triple. All right, here's how I diagnose this. So as an example, brick and mortar services, it may be the number of locations that you have or the unit economics per location. So let's talk about number of locations. This could be you start to spend more money per each one of your locations, but as you spend more money, your customer acquisition cost goes up. And so therefore it doesn't make it economical to continue to spend money, or you don't get enough cash for the amount of cash that you're spending to acquire a customer. So that may be number of locations you might consider expanding, or the unit economics don't make sense. So maybe your cost per square foot, as in you're spending more money on fixed overhead than you are on profit, in which case you want to fix that. Maybe you have multiple locations and one location is doing poorly, one location is doing great. So you want to make sure that unit economics are solid before you start to expand into new locations, or that you have uniform training across the entire department. All right, let's talk about mobile service. So mobile services, maybe it's the number of trucks that you have. You have so much service, but you need more trucks to be able to service more areas. And so that may be the way that you want to expand. You have to think about, all right, how much is it going to cost to have one truck? How much is that truck going to produce in 1 year in revenue, in profit? How many employees do I need? And then what's my revenue per employee? What's my profit per employee? If you're an online service provider, more than likely, it's going to be something like customer acquisition cost, less so your number of employees, because it's infinite. And so that way you remove constraints from talent and you can focus on just advertising as much as possible to get a large number of clients. The point is, if you sit with your problems for just 1 hour in silence without your phone or anything else, you should be able to walk away with what is it exactly that you could do in order to double or triple your business this year as a service business. So if you want to work together, shoot me a DM on Instagram, YouTube, and let's scale your business together. If you like this video, you also might like this video as well.